of having a chat with the beautiful Julie Nelson, who has, oh my God, a whole, well, the only word that is coming up is baskets, but it's so much more of knowledge and wisdom and passion and everything else. So, Julie, thank you so much for joining us today. I said, I'm really excited. Let me introduce you a little bit, and then we're going to have a talk about you, about spells, about sigils and how to use them, and so much more. So thank you. So, Julie, you have been for most of your life, you've been a practicing witch, which we definitely want to know about, definitely. And has always been a star and moon gazer. I can connect with that, love them too. An artist and a dancer. For the past 32 years, Julie has combined her passions for aromatherapy, botanical perfumery, art, ritual, and astrology into her business. She lives and breathes the magic through these powerful tools. Love it. And we were just chatting before we went live that you became a qualified clinical aromatherapist after the birth of your daughter, who was born with a rare life-threatening condition. So I really hope, first of all, I really hope that your daughter's well and living life to the fullest now.
Thank you.
But Julie, tell us, let's just start. Tell us more about you and a little bit about your journey to where you got to now, and how did you become a witch?
Okay, I'm going to address the how did I become a witch first, because I really believe that I've always been one.
Yes.
And, you know, when people talk about the black sheep of the family, that is me. Although never where I was pushed away, I'm really grateful that my mum saw me. There's 7 of us, 6 girls, 1 boy. And she treated all of us very individually. And I was always the artist, always the dancer. I did ballet for many years. Mum was always there. I used to rush home to do Japanese art classes on TV after school. This was like when I was a little girl, you know, and she used to get me to paint on the ranch sliders every Christmas, you know. So it was always nurtured in me, and I've always, I didn't understand it until I studied astrology, and how in my own personal chart, my blueprint, why I was the way I was. That was big for me, you know, learning that 27 plus years ago. I can't even remember. It's amazing how much you learn about yourself through studying your own chart. And I had an amazing teacher back then, and have had some incredible ones. So being a witch for me feels like it's always been, it's ancestry. I've always been attracted to it. I used to love anything that was witchy as a little girl. I've got a puppet here, a marionette, that my mother gave me when I was about 6 years old. So it's really vintage. It's almost an antique, and I love her. So that's how it's been going forever. And then when after I had my daughter and got my diploma, well, while I was studying, I met some women and we talked about it and we got excited and actually started a coven. So that was like over 30 years ago. We've all separated now, but it's something that's very, very important in my personal life, and I've brought it into my work. And simply being a witch, there's a lot of modern witchcraft today that I actually don't agree with.
Yes.
So I'm very much of the pagan side, and any indigenous stuff, because they have so much magic and medicine in their cultures. So really the one-liner to describe it for me is that I strive to honor myself and honor all that is. That's what witchcraft is to me. So honoring the seasons, and, you know, the stars and the moon come into all of that with astrology. And So yeah, I could go on and on, but I won't, because I can easily get carried away. So you have to bring me back.
Bring you back. Bring you back. No, that is wonderful. And everything that you've been saying, I can really connect with. You know, and I love it how it's just like it's honoring everything, which is just honoring, like it's honoring nature. It's honoring the stars and the sun and our, you know, and ourselves and everything else, and being at one with that, and knowing how to connect with each different aspect of it all. So thank you.
Absolutely. And it's not easy. I mean, it can be, and it is at times, but you know, as we were talking about before, the challenges that come up, and sometimes it's really hard to honor it all because we're right in the mix of it. But when we have the tools and the awareness, we're able to kind of see our way through it. Yeah,
absolutely. So thank you. So tell us a little bit more. And today, like, we're talking about spells and sigils, and I'd love for you to describe. So, like, what is a spell as such? Is it like, you know, when we see things on movies and people are making spells, or can we use them in our everyday life? And then, and what about sigils? Because not everyone's heard of sigils. They're just something that is really coming out recently. The word has been, the word, you know, to be that. But for you, what is a spell and what is a sigil, and how do we use them in our daily life?
Okay, let me start with this. It's something that I've always said, and I believe it was written, but I didn't know that until somebody actually told me. But I've always said our thoughts, feelings, and words are our wand. So what we think, feel, and speak, we create. And so that is really the crux of a spell. So yes, there's rituals and ceremonies that we do, so it can be elaborate, where whether you do it solo or with people. I like a mix. I even do it online with people, and it's like we cast a circle, we meditate, we do certain kinds of magic by working with the elements, earth, air, fire, water. I incorporate the astrology transits in with that, so that we're really aligning with the stars, because when you do that, you can potentize your magic. So spellcrafting magic, it is about, it's like using or creating your desire with a clear intention. For me, always for the good of all. I'm not into all this silly stuff that a lot of people are doing with hexing and all of that sort of thing, because they don't even know what they're doing, so it can be quite harmful. So, and there are some ancient cultures that do that, but they know what they're doing, and they don't do it to kill people and things like that. Anyway, coming back to us, so spellcrafting, the word spell, it's like having a desire, creating a very clear intention. That's very, very important, always for the good of all. And always that it's not, so for example, if I was to say somebody wanted to do a love spell, it is not acceptable. It's not okay to want to call in a specific person. That goes against, you know, for the good of all. So it's about trusting and taking action. So using affirmations or intentions or mantras or prayers, it's all a part of it. So it can be really elaborate to daily simple actions like speaking or writing affirmations, lighting candles, you know, potentizing your water, like water magic, because we know that water, we can change the energy of water. And with earth, getting out into nature and connecting with Mother Nature. And I use deities and goddesses, but I I don't, they're not gurus. I think of them as archetypal energies
Yes.
that I can tap into. The same with astrology. You know, if I feel like bringing a bit more spontaneity and fun into my life, I might tap into the energy of Sagittarius, because Sagittarius is a lovely fire sign that's forever playful and young at heart, and they love to travel, and that travel can be in your mind, in your body, physically, whatever you want. So there's no one small explanation. It can be very, very involved, where you're full on in ritual, and or very simple, even doing divination like oracle or tarot or astrology. It's all a part of magic and spell crafting. And sigils or sigils, people
Sigils,
differently.
Yep.
They are where we use words to create a symbol to magnify an intention.
Mm-hmm.
So I have and they're for that person only. Mm-hmm. So I have a personal mantra that, through some of the shamanic healing that I've been having over the last few months, that came up through her vision while we were in healing sessions. So I've created a sigil. So it's not just a matter of writing it out. You have to take out certain letters, like all the vowels and repeated letters, and then you design a symbol. And it can take a little bit of time to get used to it. Sometimes it takes me a week, and I do up a whole lot, and I feel into them, and then I'll find one, feel one that, yeah, that's the one I really like. And you can enhance it. So get creative and enhance it. So that's the basis of it. And then the thing is, with journaling, and you might write out your mantra. Like mine is, I am wild woman, because I was going back to past lives, my ancestry, and it was called a soul retrieving session. And boy, did it rock my boat, sent me into the deepest, darkest depths of the ocean, but very, very powerful. So I write that mantra, I speak it, I've changed it for passwords. Not that I should probably say that, but nobody knows what passwords anyway. And then, but I've also created a symbol, and I have that up, and I journal the symbol, and just immerse myself in it and chant while I'm doing it. I chant my mantra, and it takes a little bit of getting used to. It's very mindful. So, you can imagine, what it's like when you're writing intentions and affirmations. It brings in that, you can really immerse yourself in it, and you're totally in it. Well, creating a sigil or sigil is same. It's mindful, it's meditative, it connects with you on a, in your core essence, and it's creating those habits every day to do these things. And I've spent decades training myself, and sometimes I fall off the wagon, but it's very much, for me, I've counted up how many mini rituals I do on a daily basis, and I was a bit blown away, actually, because they're such a part of my life, and sigils is it. Sigils is one of the parts that I love doing. And it becomes easy, it becomes so innately you, and it's fun. And even people that feel that they're not creative can do it. You can do it digitally, and I have played with digital, and it's easy to show digital online. But I, of course, love to to use my hands to do it.
To actually physically write it. Now, it's an amazing thing. We've done sigils in our community before, and they are It is a very powerful exercise. It's a very powerful way to like connect with your own energy, your own, your mantra, your name, whatever you want to use to create something like, I mean, people we used to, have coat of arms and everything else, but this is even more deeper.
It is because it's you. And I was just thinking as you were saying that, because when you create a sigil, generally it is for you.
It's for you, yes.
And nobody else. But the other thing I was just thinking, there's when you said you've created them in your community, I'm not sure if you've meant separately or as a collective. And I was just thinking then a collective one, for compassion and kindness. I'm just getting goosebumps. Like imagine a group of women sitting in circle, whether you're online or not, and you come together to create this powerful sigil. I'll just say sigil because that's what I'm used to.
Yeah.
And the energy that would be in that. And if you used it when you come together, it's like, wow. And you're putting that out to the world for the good of all and for the good of yourself. That's really fucking powerful.
Yeah.
Really, really powerful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It would be, and I would look forward to that happening. Definitely one day in the future when the universe aligns for it. But absolutely, we've done things like together, but individually.
Yes.
People have created their own sigils and things like that. Now we will be putting your links in the comments once we're finished, because we do have a few people watching us. But have you got anything coming up that you'd like to talk about? Any workshops, anything?
Yeah. Oh, well, I am doing a sigil workshop. I'm doing one in person, but that's a bit hard for most people to get to. And on Saturday the 13th in 1:30, I think it is, I'm running an online one. And it's about 90 minutes to 2 hours, depending on how many people come in. Sometimes they're small, sometimes they're big. And I guide people in creating a sigil. It's $30 and you get the recording. We have a bit of fun. We tell stories. I do a visualization. And if people need to get really clear on their intention, I'll help them to create that. So I try not to put an exact time on it because it depends on what happens on the call. So I'm looking forward to that. Because I love doing it, and I love seeing the excitement in other women when they've created it. And the other thing is that it's not always that some don't always create their final sigil in that session, that group session, but they're well on their way. And the other thing is that it's been a long time coming due to my personal circumstances and living, and I finally have a home because I've been displaced because of the floods. And my podcast, I've been waiting for 3 years for this, 3 years, and I'm starting my podcast. I'm starting recordings around the end of May, and I'm looking for speakers. I already have topics for 2 years, weekly topics, and they'll be around aromatherapy, perfumery, because I work a lot with the mind, moods, and emotions, and astrology, magic, ritual, spells, readings. I'm also a bit controversial. I'm very unapologetic, so I love having conversations with women that that way too, because I want to speak up. Yes. I do speak up, and yes. I get into trouble, so I'm going to let you know that now. Some people might think, oh, I don't want to be on her podcast then. But I'm a very, very compassionate woman, and I'm just each decade I've gone through, I just get more and more and more unapologetic. And I don't want to offend anybody by what I'm about to say, but I have this saying, and it's like, I don't give a fuck, but I do give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about the things that are not good for us.
Yes.
I don't give it my attention, but the things that are, I really do give a fuck. And I'm really on a mission to speak up about things that are being thrown in my face and things that I have experienced in my life. And so, and I'm talking sexual abuse, any kind of abuse, women's rights. And I'm not in any system. I play by Julie's rules, with, for the good of all.
Love it.
So
Love
if anybody's interested, please reach out and connect.
Yeah, so we will be putting all your links in the comments absolutely as soon as we finish our conversation, because and I'd love to have you back again, Julie. But before we do finish up, is there anything else that you can tell us, like especially about sigils or spells too? Once we create our sigil,
Yeah.
and on a practical level, on a daily level, I know we can do rituals and ceremonies that is even more powerful, but on an everyday level, how can we use them? Or is there any experience that you've had where you've used your sigil and your spell work, your spellcraft, that has helped you in this crazy thing called life?
Yeah. Can I just pop up for a minute and grab mine and I'll show you?
Absolutely.
So this is my personal mantra, and I've actually done a digital one as well. Mm-hmm. So I have it where I can see it. So I'm looking at it every day. I live in a very tiny place now, so it's always within my sight. Mm-hmm. And so even the fact of when you look at it, it reminds you of what it represents. And I automatically say my mantra without even thinking about it. And so in everyday life, because everybody is busy, it's really important, and I do this, is to create time. We all do have time.
Yes.
To create just a few minutes a day. And one of the most powerful ways for me, and I'm going to show you here, just so happens I've got one of my favorite perfumes, which I just saw there, so I can show you. So perfume is my big thing. I've been doing it for a few decades, and as the clinical aromatherapist, I use it for well-being as well as pleasure. But just for example, if whether you have a spray or you have an anointing one, mm-hmm. So you can put a drop on your wrist, mm-hmm. Gently just put it together, inhale, mm-hmm. Look or speak your mantra, I am wild woman, with conviction and passion. Inhale your perfume again, and I'm only talking natural because I don't support synthetic perfumes. Yeah. And that has a direct link to your brain, to your limbic system and the hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus is the control center of so much in our body, our temperature, our hormonal production and distribution, thoughts and feelings like anger and sexual feelings, digestive activity, everything. So what you're doing when you're doing this, it is the most simple, most beautiful and pleasurable ritual that only has to take a couple of minutes, and you're anchoring it into your brain with the perfume and creating new neural pathways. And you can do that simple little ritual as often as you like through the day. And you saw how long it took me. Mm-hmm. So there's no excuse not to do it.
I love it. I love it, absolutely. So thank you ever so much. And before we do finish our conversation for today, Julie, I just want to ask you one further question, maybe two.
Yeah.
Maybe two. Okay, two questions is coming. If you could leave a legacy for everyone in the world, for all the children that are growing up in today's crazy life, in today's world, what legacy would that be?
I'm trying to build that for my daughter. Love for me, because it is the highest vibration, is to help, support people in loving themselves. And I guess for me, that comes from me not feeling worthy or loved for much of my life, being bullied as a child, being abused with, partners, and understanding what true love of self is so empowering. And then that just ripples out. And you can then help other people no matter what it is. If you truly love yourself, and like I am a very confident woman, I'm very unapologetic, I love life, even though sometimes it's so hard. If I can touch one person with that and my energy that helps them to feel better, that to me is a great legacy. But I've got other ones too, like, on a more supporting my daughter, trying, well, not trying, but working to leave her a legacy so that when I'm gone, there's support for her. So through my work, I can do that, through my art, through my perfumery.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And definitely love is a wonderful legacy to leave for people, and especially for your daughter.
Yeah. And I'm talking about our planet, everything, because
everything.
Mother Earth is really, really important to me, and I'm animal crazy. I love supporting animals, and I just want the world to be a kinder place. And it's a long road, but more and more people, slowly.
It is. Thank you. Thank you very much. And our last question is there any question that I could have asked you that I've missed, and how would have you answered it?
Oh my goodness. I don't know, because I'm just at a place in my life now where you can ask me anything and I'll just say it, whether people think it's right or wrong. I don't expect anybody to take on my beliefs or do as I do. My mission personally is to, I guess what you could have, if you asked me, what's my mission in life, or what I'm doing, what I would answer is that, when I first went into business for myself, like as a lecturer 30 odd years ago, I wanted to be a really high income earner so that I could help save the world. Why are people in poverty and all of that? And over the last 3 decades, what I've learned, and it's been some hard lessons, is that I haven't got the capacity to do that on my own, and that I've got to help myself first. So it always comes back to us. And honestly, that's only come to me recently, where I've had to let go because of who I am, what I'm made up of, the pain that I have experienced through other people's suffering and animals' suffering, not my own, has almost been unbearable. And I've been guided to, like, Julie, you have to put yourself first, because I often haven't put myself first in my life.
Yes. Yes.
So that's what I would say. It is so important, because as a mother with my daughter, we spent 15 years living in and out of hospital. And I didn't put myself first. And as a mother, it's incredibly hard to do that. But I suffered. I got very, very sick. And I have been on a 14-year healing journey. So I would say, take care of yourself first.
Yeah, we have
Put yourself first.
Thank you. What a wonderful way to finish. Thank you. I love everything that you've shared with us today, and for everyone who's watching live and on the replay, definitely go back and rewatch this, and I certainly will be, because you have shared some really powerful experiences and some of your wisdom and passion and things, and I love it all. Putting yourself first, and absolutely wonderful way to finish off. Thank you, Julie, and please do come again.
Oh, I will. And thank you for seeing me and inviting me. I love speaking. I love getting my message out there. And as I said, it may not always be for anybody, but it's more about women rising unapologetically in their truth and not giving a fuck about what other people think about them. Excuse my language. I love to swear.
I love it. Not a problem. You can swear as much as you like. All right. For everyone out there who is watching, we will be putting Julie's links in the comments very, very soon. So do hang around for that. And Julie, you have a beautiful afternoon.
And you too. I'm so happy that we got to do this. And I'm seeing a little bit more of you too, Sophia. It's really gorgeous.
Thank you.